I love Panerai, but my God, do they make it difficult to love them. Hi everyone and welcome to Shah Lusso, and yes, today we are talking about Panerai, one of my favorite brands and in my view, one of the underdogs of the industry. While yes, they have their history reaching back to the 1950s, the Panerai we know and love today is really more of a product of the 1990s, when the brand was resurrected and shot to fame, courtesy of a few strategic appearances in films, and courtesy of an iconic design, which of course had to originate in Italy. Now, my love affair with Panerai stretches beyond just my love of their design and their recent history. It was also amplified last year when I spent some time living in Florence. I was able to visit the original Panerai store right across from the Duomo. They even had a little museum section within there. They had tons of vintage references. It showed that there was much more to the brand than meets the eye. Panerai, at the end of the day, is a brand that has a rich marine history, two iconic designs that are instantly recognizable, and a reputation for making watches that are simple to look at, well built, and often on the bigger side. And that last part is something that maybe now is starting to work against the brand, especially as that phase of huge watches has kind of come and gone. While yes, they shot to fame on the wrist of Sylvester Stallone, and the idea was that it was a big noticeable watch, now watches are coming much more down to earth. So that brings us to the PAM00070. In my view, one of the best examples of a Panerai, because you don't actually need it to be big for it to be a Panerai. The PAM00070 was introduced in the early 2000s and measured only 40 millimeters in diameter, much smaller than what we still get today. And crucially, it didn't lose any of its water resistance. That part is important because some of you by now will probably be thinking, but well, Panerai makes smaller watches already in the Luminor Due series, and that's true. Some of them even go down to 38 millimeters, 10.5 millimeters thick, but they also have only 30 meters of water resistance, which in my opinion, kind of goes against the whole maritime narrative that they push in literally all of their marketing. The PAM00070 though didn't go against that. It had 300 meters of water resistance. It was still 14.5 millimeters thick, but with a design like this, it somehow still works. That slab-sided design of the Berrettini case, it's similar to how one might think of Tudor. They're not watches that are designed as being slim or small watches, so it doesn't matter that they're a bit on the thicker side, because it all kind of works together. On top of that, it's extremely comfortable on the wrist and it feels extremely well built. Every interaction you have, whether it's winding the crown, releasing the crown guard, buckling it up, everything is so incredibly well built, and I think that's one of the unsung strengths of Panerai as a brand. Something that's a dive watch doesn't need to be too fancy, it needs to work. And in this PAM00070, it follows that ethos. Yes, they call it the OPIII, but this is of course a Valjoux 7750 that's been stripped of its chronograph, which means it's reliable, easy to service, and not something that's going to add a huge amount to the price. And in doing this, Panerai proved that they can make a smaller watch without compromising the water resistance and without needing to make it too expensive. This watch on the pre-owned market goes for around 4,000 to 5,000 euros. And when you're thinking that it's really, a three-hander that's well built for an instantly recognizable brand, that suddenly becomes very, very good value when you think of a few other brands that are doing things that are much more expensive and don't have any of the iconic design that the Panerai does. So why was this watch never a huge hit? Well, in my opinion, it was just the wrong time. This was released in the early 2000s when watches were getting bigger and bigger, so releasing a smaller version of your watch that's renowned for being big probably didn't make a lot of sense. But I think this is a direction that Panerai really should revisit. I think they should introduce smaller Panerai models, maybe another 40 millimeter, but without compromising the water resistance to the same extent that they do with the Due. But this is why it's lucky for us that there are pre-owned models, and why it's lucky for us that there are companies like today's sponsor CHRONEXT, who have a huge range of watches for us to choose from on the pre-owned market. So make sure you check out their links in the description below if you want to see their selection of watches, including a great range of Panerais. But of course, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. What's your favorite Panerai, and what does Panerai mean to you as a brand? What do you think that the perfect Panerai should have? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Of course, if you like this video, then make sure you like it and share it. If you want to see more pictures and infographics of watches as seen throughout this and all my other videos, then make sure you follow me on Instagram at Shah Lusso. If you want to see more videos of watches, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell as well so you know when the next video comes out. And if you want to see more Panerai content, then check out my Panerai playlist. But thanks for joining me on this quick exploration of what, in my view, is one of the best Panerais ever.